switching concepts. Now switch is a computer networking device that connects devices together on a computer network by using packet switching to receive, process and forward data to the destination device. Now if we want to connect two devices directly, then we can connect them directly from their LAN card. From the NIC to NIC we can connect the cable, we can connect crossover cable and we can connect them together. But if when we have multiple devices, then what? We cannot connect them because we have only one NIC in every device. So then what we use? We use this central device, whether it is previously it was hubs we used, now we use switches. Hubs, after that we use bridges, and then after that we use switches now. Nowadays we use switches, and this is what in a star topology, where all the devices connects to the switch. Now, so this switch do what? This switch do connect two or more devices together to in a network. Now switch forwards data only to one or multiple devices that need to receive it, rather than broadcasting the same data out of each of its port. By default, previously when we were using the hub, so hub do what? It actually sends data to every device which is connected. It do broadcast, it do everything, every data, whatever data comes to the hub, it do broadcasting. But switch is not, it does not do that. It do what? Only unicast, and in some time it do multicast, we can say. So it does not do multicast basically, it do broadcast. So switch can do broadcast and also it can do unicast. Unicast, that means one to one. So it can send only one or multiple devices need to receive it, and whatever it needs to receive. Now a network switch is a multi-port network bridge that uses hardware addresses, that is MAC, to process and forward data at the data link layer of the OSI module. So network switch is actually a multi-port network bridge. Now still these switches are called bridge because previously after the hub, bridge devices came, and on the technology of that bridge devices these switches are made. So it is just an advanced version of bridges. That is why it is also called multi-port network bridge. And it do what? It uses the MAC addresses of devices. We know that every network device which we have, for connecting the device into the network, we need a network card, a LAN card, a NIC, network interface card. And every network interface card has its own unique physical address, that is MAC address. Physical address because it is embedded into the card and we can't change it. So what switch do? It uses those MAC addresses to process and forward data and at the data link layer of the OSI model. So the switches works on data link layer. Why it works on data link layer? Because it can process only till the data link layer. That means when the data comes, when the packet comes to the switch, it can open the layer, it can open the packet till physical layer and till data link layer. It cannot open the packet till network layer. On the network layer of OSI model, we have an information about the IP addresses. So switches don't understand and don't read any IP addresses. They do completely everything on the basis of MAC addresses. They can only open the packet till the data link layer, and in the data link, on the data link layer, we have only MAC addresses information. So it do use that MAC addresses to process and forward the data to the devices on the data link layer. Now switches can also process data at the network layer. Now I said that switches cannot open it. Switches cannot open layer 3 information. They can only work on layer 2. They can only access the MAC addresses. But here what I am saying, switches can also process data at the network layer by additionally. It is by additionally incorporating routing functionality that most commonly uses IP addresses to perform packet forwarding, and such switches are commonly known as layer 3 switches or multi-layer switches. So basically the switches works on data link layer, they don't work on layer 3, they don't understand any IP addresses, but there is some special kind of switches which can work on layer 3 and they can access the information of the layer 3. They can open the packet till layer 3. Those switches called layer 3 switches, and they can do what? They can do forwarding, they can do routing also, and that is called what? Layer 3 or multi-layer switches. So we have that switches also. Now switch management features. Now these are the switch management features. First, turn particular port range on or off. Like the port may be on or off, so making that available on or off is a management feature of switch. Then it is managing the link bandwidth and duplex setting. Link bandwidth, that means how many bandwidth you will get from that port, and also you will get duplex setting. Duplex, that means you will get half duplex or full duplex. So it can be also managed on that switch. So this is what the switch feature. Then priority settings for the ports. We can also configure the priority setting for the ports. Which port or some port we can make a priority. Then it can do MAC filtering and other types of port security features which prevent MAC flooding. Now MAC flooding is basically a type of attack which attackers use to do a flooding on your network, to make your network unusable, to make your to do redirection, to make your denial of service attack, to corrupt your switches and bridges, to corrupt your devices. They use this MAC flooding attack. This MAC flooding attack, they do what? They actually start sending fake MAC addresses to devices, that means switches. They start sending the fake MAC addresses. That means there is no devices present with that MAC addresses. They have a tool which do what? Which start sending the fake MAC addresses information, that it only sends the packet which is having a source and destination MAC address only till data link layer. Other layers are don't having any information. Only the packet has information about data link source and destination MAC address. Now switch has to process that. So it can do what? Those tools can do what? They can send within a second thousands and thousands of fake packets in a network, and it is called MAC address flooding. And what it do? It can harm your switch. It can denial of service. It can put denial of service attack. That means your service, your switches will not give any service. Your network will slow, and your network data will overflow, which can do what? Which can leak the information, and attacker can get the information. So for saving that, we have different port security features available in switches. One of them is MAC filtering. So one of them is MAC filtering, which we have other port security features also available in switch, which we can do what? We can manage. So it is also a management feature of our switches. Then we can use of spanning tree protocol technology. This spanning tree protocol technology is to prevent looping. Looping we have in routers, we have layer 3 loopings, and in switches we have layer 2 loops. So we can have a layer 2 loops, and for preventing those layer 2 loops we have a protocol technology that is called spanning tree protocol. And this is also a management thing, which is management feature which is available in the switch. Then we have VLAN. VLAN settings, where we can create VLANs. We can serve security and performance goal by reducing the size of the broadcast domain. These VLANs are also very important. VLANs means virtual LAN. LAN is our local area network, and in our local area network we have multiple machines. To connect them together we use switches. So by default we have single LAN. Physically we have single LAN. We can say it is a single LAN. VLAN means virtual LAN. So we can divide the single physical LAN into virtually multiple different LANs. Why we do this? We do this sometimes for security and for some performance goals to reduce the size of broadcast domain. We will see these VLANs in detail. We will see the spanning protocol in detail. We will see the port security in detail. So we will see these things because these things are what management features, and we are here to learn the management of switches. Then when we talk about management, so we have two types of switches, managed and unmanaged. Now unmanaged switches are these switches have no configuration interface or options. That means these unmanaged switches means the switches which we don't have any configuration option. Now configuration option or interface means for configuring our switches, just like router, we need a console port. So in a Cisco switches also we have a console port. So from that console port we can connect the rollover cable and we can connect it to our machine, our PC, and just like we access the router, we can access the switch also, and we can configure and manage our switch. Now that we can do on managed switches, but here unmanaged switches does not have any interface or option to manage it. These switches are like plug and play. They are also called what? Plug and play. Now unmanaged means we just plug and it will play. That means we don't have to configure anything. These switches are pre-configured. We don't have to manage anything. It is already configured with everything, and we just have to connect and it will start working. So it is also called what? Plug and play switches. They are typically the least expensive switches and therefore often used in a small office or home office environment. So these are the less expensive because it is not giving you option to configure. That means it is not supporting all the features of Cisco switches. So it has a limited features, and those features are already configured. So they are less expensive and is very ideal for the small office environment where we don't have a big network, we have less machines, so we don't need that hard configuration and all that. And these unmanaged switches can be a desktop or rack mounted. So it is like a very small switches, so we don't need to have a rack for them. So we can put them on desktop also, or even a rack also. We can put them on a rack also. So we can have both type of switches, they are desktop or rack mounted. Now when we talk about the managed switches, so these switches have one or more methods to modify the operation of the switch. So we can modify the operation of the switches by configuring them, and that is what we can do by the configuring interface. And common management methods include what? A command line interface, just like the router we have. So just like router we can configure the same way we can configure the switch also from the command line, accessed via serial console or telnet or secure shell. Now an embedded simple network management protocol, that is SNMP, agent allowing management from a remote console or management station or a web interface for management from a web browser. This is a protocol. This is called simple network management protocol. This protocol used to manage network devices. Basically it works like we have to have an agent, SNMP agent installed in the device, and we use a manager in our desktop or laptop machine. So first you have to have an agent installed in the device. So Cisco switches has an agent, we just have to enable it. By default it is not enabled, and then we will install the management software in our in our machine, desktop or a laptop, or even we can manage it from the browser also if it is giving us the browser option. And from there we can do what? We can manage it somehow graphically, but basically it does not give you all the options to do. So command line is the better option because these are not secure. SNMP or even from the web browser, these are not that secure options to use. So the best option is to connect the console or even a secure shell, not a telnet. Telnet is also not a secure way. So we can use console or secure shell way to connect the command line interface. That is the good idea. SNMP is a protocol, but it is not secure basically, because basically it works on UDP and it can be easily leak the information. Then examples of configuration changes that one can perform from the managed switches include it includes enabling features such as spanning tree or port mirroring. It is including setting port bandwidth. It also includes creating or modifying virtual LANs, that is VLAN and etc. And also we can configure port security. So these are what common configuration changes which we can make in managed switches. Now, if you have a managed switch, then you will have a console port in it. In unmanaged switch, we don't have any kind of port. Now, when we talk about collusion domain, now it was a problem when we use the hub. When we use hub, it was a problem. What happened when it was hub? It do the broadcast, and the broadcast means it works like a bus topology, and that means what? At one time only one devices can send or receive the data. That means one device can send and other device can receive. Other devices has to be stopped. But if somehow all the devices sends the data at the same time, then you will have a collusion. This collusion domain is the set of LAN interfaces whose frames could collide with each other, but not with frames sent by any other devices in the network. So the collusion is occurred when two computers want to use bandwidth at the same time. It uses CSMA/CD, this topology, star topology. So what happened? First they try to sense the cable before sending the data. Now when they sense the data, they sense the cable, and if it is not having any data, then they will send. Now when two devices sense the cable and it says that they are not having any data, so they try to send the data at the same time, and that is what when two devices try to send. So what happened here? Generally speaking, in easy term, what a collusion domain is a set of PC for which a frame sent by one PC could result in a collusion with a frame sent by another PC in the same collusion domain. So collusion domain means where all the devices can collide. Can collide means when they send the data at the same time, their data will collide. So only one device in the collusion domain may transmit at any one time, and the other device in the domain listen to the network in order to avoid the data collusion. So in this collusion domain type, what you have to make sure that only one device will send and other device will receive. All the other devices must have to be stopped so that they can avoid the collusion. Collusion also decrease network efficiency on a collusion domain. Because the collusion happen, it reduce the efficiency of the network. And if two devices transmit simultaneously, a collusion occurs and both devices must transmit at a later time. And modern wired networks use a network switch to eliminate the collusion. So these switches do what? These switches does not do the collusion. They avoid the collusion. By connecting each devices directly to a port on the switch, either each port on a switch becomes its own collusion domain in the case of the half duplex link, or the possibility of collusion is eliminated entirely in the case of full duplex links. So collusion domain will not happen in the switches because the switches, every port of the switch is itself a collusion domain. So if anything happens on the port, then it will not transfer these things to other ports. So switch, every port of the switch is what? A collusion domain. So when collusion happen to a single port of the switch, it will not affect other ports. So your network will not decrease. So because of that, administrators use the switch to avoid the collusion, to eliminate the collusion entirely. Now the other hand is broadcast domain. Now when we talk about broadcast domain, so broadcast domain is what? Is a logical division of a computer network in which all nodes can reach each other by broadcasting at the data link layer. A broadcast domain can be within the same LAN segment, or it can be bridged to other LAN segment. When one of the devices send a broadcast, all the other devices receive a copy of the broadcast. So broadcast is very simple, where one device sends data to everyone. When it sends the data, it will reach to everyone. Everyone will get the data. For example, switch also floods the broadcast and multicast on all ports. Because broadcast frames are sent out all ports, a switch creates a single broadcast domain. Now switch can do the broadcast. That means whether what switch do not do the collusion, because it does not do the broadcast like hub. That means when any device send a data to any other device, it is not a broadcast data, so it will still be broadcast in hub. But when you are having a switch, then what? When PC1 sends the data to PC2, then it will only go to PC2. It will not go to any other device. But if PC1 sends the broadcast data, it sends the broadcast data to everyone. That means PC1 wants to send the data to everyone. Then it will definitely go to everyone. So switch can do the broadcast only when it has a broadcast packet. And any computer connected to the same switch is a member of the same broadcast domain. So that is why the switch is also called single broadcast domain. That means by default it can send one packet to everyone. So if only when it is having a multicast or broadcast. Now I am saying even a multicast. Multicast, that means we don't have a multicast MAC address. Remember, now I will show you how they work. So then you will understand how it is, why we are calling broadcast or multicast. So even we have a broadcast packet or a multicast packet, it always do what? It always do broadcast. And switch can do broadcast, that is why it is also called single broadcast domain. And all the computers connected to the switch are the member of single broadcast domain. Further, any computer connected to the same set of interconnected switches is a member of the same broadcast domain. That means if I connect two switches or three switches together with a cable, so it will also be a single broadcast domain. So if one PC sends a broadcast from one switch, so if the other switches are also connected, then it will go to other switches also. That means they are also considered as a single broadcast domains. Now routers and other higher layer devices form boundaries between broadcast domains. So now when you are having a router in between, so router will not pass the broadcast packet. It will disable, it will break the broadcast. So it do what? It creates boundaries between broadcast domain. Collusion domains are generally small than broadcast domain. Broadcast domains are only divided by a layer 3 network device such as router or layer 3 switches. So layer 3 switches or routers, they do break the broadcast and they divide it into two segments or different segments. Other than that, switch can do the broadcast. Now transparent bridging. Now when you say transparent bridging, so most Ethernet LAN switches use a very cool system called transparent bridging to create their address lookup table. And transparent bridging is a technology that allows the switch to learn everything it needs to know about the location of nodes on the network without the network administrator having to do anything. And transparent bridging has a 5 parts, and this is also a working of switch, or we can say this is the job of switch: learning, flooding, filtering, forwarding and aging. Now, and also transparent means what? Basically it is transparent to other devices. Like if you are having multiple devices in the LAN, so basically those devices don't know that we are connected to switch. So PC to PC, PC to PC. Now PCs feels like they are connected directly to other PC. They don't know that there is a switch in between. So that is why we can also say that it is a transparent bridging. So transparent bridging or switching means what? Basically it is transparent to other devices. It does not show itself, and it do this learning, flooding, filtering and forwarding and aging. So how the switch works? It's very simple. Let me show you in a simple way. So here we have a switch and we have these connected devices. These are the ports of the switch, and we can say these are the number of the ports. Port number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And these are the devices, and these are the MAC address of the devices. Now remember, our normal switches works on layer 3, layer 2. They don't understand IP addresses. So I'm not giving IP addresses here. I'm talking about only MAC addresses. They don't know, they can't open, so they don't know. Only layer 3 or multi-layer switches can read the IP addresses. Otherwise, normal switches can't do this. Now, when we connect like this, when we connect all the devices into our switch to these ports, now how it works? When we start the switch, when we switch on the switch, so first is do what? It learns the switches. It learns the MAC address. It start learning the MAC addresses. It start learning, that means it has to create a MAC address table. So in every switches we have a specific memory. It is called CAM memory. Now CAM memory, it means what? Content addressable memory. Now in this memory, what switch do? It actually stores the list of or table of MAC addresses. The table of MAC addresses on these ports. It makes an entry that how much MAC address and what MAC address is connected to a particular port. So it has an information about, it has port number 1, it has port number 2, it has port number 3, it has port number 4, then it has port number 5, port number 6 and port number 7. Now it creates the CAM table for the port numbers, and it will store the MAC addresses of that particular port. Now when we connect any device, so that device contains its own unique MAC address, and that MAC address is unique in the world. So that MAC address, that device contains the MAC address which is unique. So what switch do? It reads those MAC addresses. Now how it reads the MAC addresses? So how it reads the MAC addresses? First, when we switch on the switch, it does not have anything. It is not having any MAC address, anything in the table. Now when these devices start doing the communication, like suppose this machine starts sending the data to any other machine. For example, it is trying to send the data to this machine. So what it do? It sends the data. Now when it sends the data, it do what? It create a PDU. Now PDU means it create the PDU. The data will go through all the layers, and it do create the PDU which is going to be sent. And that PDU, like, it will go to the application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer and physical layer. And after everything, the packet will be ready to send. Now remember, the machine does not know that there is any switch connected. Machine knows that, machine feels like it is directly connected to the other device. So what it do, it will add the information accordingly. What information it will add into this packet is that source IP and destination IP to reach the machine correctly. Then it adds, in the data link layer, it adds the source MAC address, which is B, and the destination MAC address, which is E. So in this packet, on the data link layer, it has added that information. Now the packet will go, because they are not connected directly, so the packet will go first to the switch. Now switch will do what? Switch will receive the packet and it will open the packet. Remember, switch works on data link layer, so it can open the packet till only data link layer. It will not look for the layer 3, it will not look for the IP address and any other information. It will only look for the MAC address. So data will go inside through the physical layer and reaches up to data link layer, where the data is open. The layer is opened by the switch. So switch do whatever the data link layer do. What it do actually, first it checks the error, whether the packet is not having any error or what. If it is having any error, it will drop the packet right now here, and the data will not reach to the destination machine. Now if it is not having any error, then it will check the source and destination MAC address. Now source and destination MAC address, at the time it is not having any information in the CAM table. So what the switch do? Switch will do what? It will add the source MAC address into the table for that port. That means the packet is received from the port number 2. That means the source port, the source MAC address is on that port. So it will do what? It will add the source MAC address on that port. So in the CAM table, it will create an entry that MAC address B is present on port number 2. Now what is the destination MAC address added is in the packet is E. Now it checks the CAM table here that whether I have any information for MAC address E. So right now the table is empty, so there is no information. So what the switch will do, because it is not having any information, it will send the packet to all. It will send the packet to all the ports. That means the packet will go to every port. That means port number 1, port number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It will not go to 2. It is just like a hub. Like the packet comes from 2, so it will not send it to 2. It will send it to all the other ports. And every machine will get the data. But when the machine reaches to when the data reaches to the machines, and when it enters in the machine, they will check the data, and when they see that the MAC address is E, so these machines will drop the data. They will not respond, they will just drop it. Like machine A, C, D, F and G, they will discard the data, they will not do anything. But this machine E will accept, because it is having the MAC address of E. And then the IP address, it will check, and IP address, if it is matching, then it will accept the data, and then it will further process the data. So it will broadcast the data to all the other ports. So switches do broadcast because they are by default single broadcast domain, and that is why it is called single broadcast domain, because it will send it to all the other ports. Now the condition is that the destination MAC address is unknown. There is 3 conditions where the switches do broadcast. First is this: when the destination MAC address is unknown, the packet it receives, it knows the source MAC address, I actually don't know anything, but when it does not know the destination MAC address, that means switch don't know where to send the packet. So it will do what? It will do the broadcast. It will send to everyone and feel it like it will reach to the destination. So it do the broadcast in the situation where the destination MAC address is unknown. In other situation where any machine specifically sends the broadcast, that means the broadcast IP is 255.255.255.255, or when you add that IP, that means you want to send the broadcast, so the machine adds the broadcast MAC address on data link layer. It actually adds the broadcast MAC address, and the broadcast MAC address is FFFFF. So it sends the broadcast MAC address, and when the switch receives a packet with a broadcast MAC address, now no matter what IP it is, it will do the broadcast and it will send the packet to everyone. And one more condition, when any machine sends the multicast packet, now we have a multicast IPs which is class D, but we don't have any multicast MAC addresses. So even when you send the multicast packets, the MAC address will be added as a broadcast. So the switch don't know any IP addresses, it only understand MAC addresses. So it will do what? It will broadcast to everyone. It will not do anything. It will not do multicast. So multicast is also, for switches, it is also broadcast. So it has three conditions: where destination MAC address is unknown, it will do the broadcast. If it gets the broadcast packet or even a multicast packet, again it will do the broadcast. Now it sends the broadcast, that means the packet will go to everyone. No one will accept, only the one which accept this machine which is the packet for. Now just like this, when all the machines start doing the communication, start sending the packet through the switch or everyone, they will not send a packet to switch. They don't know that switch is there. So when the machine A sends the packet to C, C sends the packet to D, D sends the packet to B, B sends the packet to E, E sends the packet to G, G sends the data to F. So when they start doing the communication, the packets are going through the switch. So switch do what? It notes all the source MAC addresses and it creates the CAM table. So it knows that on port number 1 it has a MAC address A. On port number 2 it is having a B. Port number 3 it has C. Port number 4 it has D. Then 5 it has E. Then F on 6, then G on 7. Now once the MAC address table is created, now it will not do broadcast based on unknown destination MAC address, because now it knows all the MAC addresses. Now when it knows all the MAC addresses, then it only do one-to-one communication, that is unicast. Now this time when this machine sends data to this machine, so the data will go to switch first. Now switch opens it and it says that okay, the source MAC address is B, I know it is on port number 2. Now the destination MAC address is E. So E is on port number 5. So it will not do any broadcast, it will not send data to any other device, it will directly send data to port number 5 and it will reach to this machine. And that is how the switch do what? Switching. And it do one-to-one communication. Now if suppose any machine sends broadcast, like if this A machine send a broadcast packet, so it will go to switch checks the destination MAC address, it says okay, it's a broadcast MAC address, then it will do what? It will broadcast to everyone. Unless it has all the information about the MAC addresses and in the CAM table it is created, still it will do the broadcast because it gets the broadcast packet. And even a multicast data is also a broadcast. Multicast is also for a switch, it is also a broadcast because it does not understand IP. It cannot open IP layer. So in a simple way, switch works like this. So we can see here in the design here in this image what it do here. in this kind. The switch is added to the network and the various segments are plugged into the switch port. A computer node A on the first segment, segment A, send data to computer node B on another segment, segment C. Now how it is saying what it is? This is the segment A and this is the segment B and C. Now why? Because the segment A is, it is saying hub. This one is hub. Now hub has also two port connected, but still it is called a single segment A. Why? Because it is a single broadcast domain. But when we single collusion domain, when we have this switch here, we see that there is two segments here, segment C and B for port for node B and D. Why? Because we have switch, and in the switch each port is a collusion domain, so we have two segments of collusion. Now the switch gets the first packet of data from node A and it reads the MAC addresses and save it to the lookup table for segment A. The lookup table, that means in segment A we have what? We have hub. Now hub connected to this port, and that is what considered under as a segment A. So it will add the MAC address on segment A. That means on this port, let's say we will talk it like segment A is port 1, segment B is port 2 and segment 3 is port 4. So the addresses which is coming from this hub, they will add it into port number 1. Whether node A or node C, both will be added onto the same port. Then the switch now knows where to find node A anytime a packet is addressed to it, and this process is called learning. So this is how it do the learning. Now flooding means what? The switch does not know where node B is, so it sends the packet to all of the segments except the one that is arrived on segment A. When a switch sends a packet out to all segments to find a specific node, it is called flooding, and that is what I said, broadcasting. It will do broadcast the packet to everyone, and it is called flooding. Now what? When node B, that means what here? MAC table is empty, CAM table is empty. This one sends the packet, node A sends the packet to node B. Now what happened? When it reaches to here, it added the MAC address of A to the port, but it don't know the MAC address of B, so it flooded the packet to everyone. And then what? Node B gets the packet and sends a packet back to node A. That means it will reply, it will acknowledge. The packet from B arrives at the switch, and now the switch can add the MAC address of node B also. So now it added the node of B, MAC address of node B also in a lookup table in segment C. That means port 3. Now since the switch already knows the address of node A, it sends a packet directly to it. And because the A is on a different segment than node B, the switch must connect the two segments to send the packet, and this is known as forwarding. So when data sends from one port to other port, it is called forwarding. So switch do what? It do forwarding. It do forward the data from one port to other port. Now it knows the port, it knows the MAC address, it directly sent without any flooding. Then what? The next packet from node A to B arrives at a switch, and the switch now has the address of B2, so it forwards the packet directly to B. And node C sends the information to switch for node A. The switch looks at the MAC address of node C and adds it to the lookup table in the segment in the port, and the switch already has the address for node A and determines that both nodes are on the same segment, so it does not need to connect segment A to another segment for the data to travel node C to node A. Therefore the switch will ignore the packet traveling between node on the same segment. This is called filtering. Now filtering means what? Here if you see, this is the hub. So hub does not know anything. So when node A send or node C send, both the MAC address of these PCs will be registered on the same port of the switch. That is, we can say segment A, or we can say port number 1. So when the node A try to send the data to node C. So the data will go to the segment, go to the hub. Now hub will do what? It will send the data to node C also, and also to the switch. But when the switch see that the data is coming from node A, which is also registered on the same port, and the data is going to node C, which is also registered on the same port, the MAC address of both the machines are on the same port, so it will not forward the data to any other segment or any other port. It will not do anything basically. It is called filtering, and it is not doing anything, but still the data is going to the node C. Why? Because they are connected together with the switch, with the hub. So this kind of thing is called filtering. Now the aging is what? When learning and flooding continue as the switch adds nodes to the lookup table. Add a MAC address table. So most switches have plenty of memory in a switch for maintaining the lookup table. So it has plenty of memory to store lots of information of MAC addresses. But to optimize the use of this memory, the CAM memory, to better optimize this, the use of the memory, they still remove the older informations. That means if it is added into any port, any MAC address is added into the port or segment, so if it is older information which is not used, so it will do what? So that the switch doesn't waste time to search through stale addresses, and to do this switch use the technique called AG. So it will do what? It will actually not waste a time to search those addresses. It will remove those addresses. It will remove those MAC addresses from the table, and that technique is called AG. So this is how switch learns the MAC addresses and forwards the data. Now, if we say the working of switch, or we can say the services of switch, and what switches do. So basically switches do three things. They do what? They do three things. First, they do learning, then they do forwarding. These are the three stages of the switches. So first they do learning, then they do forwarding, and also switches do what? Avoiding loops. Now learning means the way they create the CAM table. The way they create the CAM table by learning the MAC addresses from the source machine. So whenever the machine sends the data to any other machine, the data will reach to the switch, and switch records the source MAC address in a CAM table, in a MAC address table, and the process of this is called what? Learning. The second process is what? To forward the data. Forward the data from one port to other port. Now when we talk about ports, that means we are also talking about segments. Each port of the switch is also a separate segment, we can say. Now why we call segment now? Because it is actually advanced version of bridge. So in the bridges, basically these ports were what? These ports were segments. So when it was bridge, it was called segments. Now it is a switch, so we call them ports. So both are same. If I say port number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it is also same if I say segment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So both the things are same. So when switch forwards the data from one segment to other segment, or suppose we say one port to other port, it is called forwarding. So for doing the forwarding, it uses different technology or different methods. So forwarding the data, it uses different methods. So first method is what? Store and forward. first method is to store and forward. Now what is the meaning of store and forward? Store and forward is very simple. Now suppose this machine B is sending the data to machine E. So this is the data, this is the packet it has created. So machine B will create a complete packet. It is not like it is leaving anything, because machine don't know that there is a switch. They create a complete packet, it goes through all the layers of OSI and create a complete packet to send. Now the packet goes to switch. Now switch receives the packet. Now in store and forward technology, store and forward method, what it do? First it loads the whole packet here. In the switch memory, it loads the whole packet first. And then what? It reads the error, because on data link layer do check the errors. Then it checks the source MAC address, destination MAC address, and then based on that it will forward the packet to destination port, and then through this port it will reach to the destination machine. Now store and forward means it will first store the whole packet, process the packet, and then forward the packet to destination. Now this method is a little slow. Now why it is slow? Because some packets are big. The packets can be a size of 64 KB to 1500 KB, almost 1500 KB. So it can be a size of 1500 KB or can be a size of small size of 64 KB. So it do what? First it stores the whole packet and then process and then forward. So it will take some time, but in this method you will definitely it will not forward any error packets. It is very less chances of forwarding the error packets because it is processing the complete packet, but it is a little slow. So the other method, the next method it use is cut through. Other method it use is cut through. Now cut through means what? When the data goes, the machine is sending the data. Suppose this is the data, and it goes to the switch. Now what it do here? When it is entering the switch, now it will not load the whole packet. It will do what? It will load only the segment where it can read the source destination MAC address. So it will not load the whole packet. It will just wait for the packet which gives it the information about source and destination MAC address, and it will check the error, but don't process it. It will directly send the error packet also, and then it will go to the destination machine. Now destination machine can get the error packets, so it will process on the destination machine, and destination machine, when it sees the error on the data link layer, then it will start here. Otherwise the switch will not do anything. It will just forward the packet only after reading the source and destination MAC address. It will do what? It will forward the packet quickly, but the problem is sometimes it sends the error packets. Now this can be a problem. So we can use store and forward, but it is little slower than this. So it is a fast one, but it can send the error packets. So now we have another method. It is called fragment free. Now fragment free do what? It works like a cut through. It works like a cut through. It don't wait. It does not wait for the whole packet to be loaded. It only wait for the packet till 64 KB. Now no matter what is the size of the packet, it will wait for at least 64 KB. Now most of the information comes under the 64 KB of the packet. So it will read only the first 64 KB where it will get the MAC address, error and everything. and then it will forward the packet. It will not load the whole packet again. Now 64 means what? If it is a packet, if the packet is in the minimum size, which is 64, that means it is loading the whole packet. Otherwise it is not loading the whole packet. It is just loading the 64 KB, and where it can read the MAC address and error, and then it can process the packet and forward the packet. Now in this case it sees the packet error also, and if it sees the most error, like lots of error packets, then it will automatically switch to store and forward. So it will do the fast switching, fast forwarding, but if it sees lots of errors, then it can go automatically to store and forward method. So these are the forwarding methods it have. So this is what the forwarding method and forwarding it do. Now the last thing the switch do, the job of switch is what? To avoid the looping. Looping means layer 3 loops. Layer 3 loops we have seen in routers, where router works on layer 3. Now switches works on layer 2, and in layer 2 also we can have a loops. Now on layer 2, how and why we have loops? Let's see this first. Now what is layer 2 loops? So what happened in switches, suppose we have two switches. For example, let's say I have 50 machines to connect, and 50 machines I have not able to connect to one machine, one switch, because my switch is having only 25 ports or 30 ports. So I want to connect the other machine. So what I did connected the other machine into other switch. Now what? I want that these all machines can send data to each other. Now remember, by default, if you have two switches connected, that means two broadcast domain. That means these switches, two switches are there, so it is two broadcast domain. There is two separate broadcast domain. That means if this machine sends any broadcast, so it will not reach to this machine, because they are not having any connections. But because they are in my same LAN, so I want to send them data, like I want to send this machine data to this machine, because they are on my single LAN. Because I don't have enough port in the one switch, I used another switch. But if I want them to communicate each other, so what I do here, I use one port from this switch, and I will connect the port cable, and I will connect to this other switch. Now what? These machines can do communication to each other. And now what? It becomes a single broadcast domain. Single broadcast domain, because now this machine can send the broadcast data to other machine, these all machines. Like if this machine send a broadcast, so it will go to all the machines on this switch also and on this switch also. So now it becomes the single broadcast domain. Now still there is no problem. Still everything will work fine. We will not see any loops. Now the problem comes when I try to make redundant link. Now this is very simple design. I am using it to only explain. In real life we don't use it like this. We don't use to connect two switches as a redundant. We mostly connect with only single cable. But if suppose in a complex network, if you go for the complex network where you have multiple switches, so we don't use these design. We basically use layered design, where all the switches are connected to each other, and in that case we will see the multiple links. So when you have multiple links to connected to the two or multiple switches, in that cases, in that big network, you will see the loops. You will see layer 2 loops. In normal small network, we need one or two or three switches. We just connect them together in single line. We don't create redundant link. But for example, I was very worried about that. If this cable is broke, then what happened? These two segments will divide. So I want to be redundant. So I did what? I used one more port and connect to this other port of the switch and use another cable to connect this switch again. Now what, I have one redundant link. That means if one link goes down, they can reach the data, they can reach the other machines, other switches by using this other link. So this is what redundant link. But it is having a problem. In this kind of network where you are having a redundant links, it can become a problem, and it can do what? Layer 2 loops. It can create layer 2 loops. Now how it will create layer 2 loops? It is very simple. Remember, they are now in a single broadcast domain where broadcast from one machine can reach up to all the machines. So for example, this machine try to send a broadcast packet or multicast. So it will go to switch. Now remember, switch don't understand IP. It will only understand the MAC address. So it sees the MAC address is broadcast. So what it do? It will do the broadcast. It will do the broadcast. That means it will send the data to this port. Then it will send the data to this port. Then also it will send the data to this port. Now if it is only single link, then there is no problem, but we are having a redundant link. Now what happened? The data from this link will come and enter the switch from here. Now the switch reads the packet, it says okay, it's a broadcast packet. So what switch will do? And also the data is coming from this side also, and it is entering from this port. Now first it is entered for this port, so what switch will do? It will broadcast first. So it will broadcast to this port, and it will also broadcast to this port, and also it will broadcast to this port. And also when it comes from this port, again it will be broadcast to this port, again it will be broadcast to this port, and this time it will also broadcast to this port, because remember, it will broadcast from where it will not where the data comes, it will leave that port and broadcast to every port. So when the data comes from this port, it will not broadcast on this port again, it will broadcast to the other port. And when the data comes from this port, it will not broadcast back to this port, but it will again broadcast to this other port. Now what happened? The data is broadcasted to the port, same port again. Now it will go from here and reach to here, and it will enter the switch from here, and also it will enter from here. Now what happened here? The switch received again the packet. It does not know it is same packet or what. It only see the MAC address. Now what it do? It will broadcast again to this machine, and now this time it will be broadcast to this machine also, because it is coming from this port. So this machine who broadcasted the data, it will receive the data again, and also it will be broadcasted to this port. Then when it comes from this side, it will be broadcasted to this machine, it will be broadcasted to this machine, and also it will be broadcasted to this side. Now you see what is happening. Again it is broadcasting from both the sides to the other switch. And what happened? This switch sends the data to this switch sends the data to this switch, then again the switch sends back the data to this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and it will create a loop, and it will create a storm of the data, and it will consume the whole bandwidth, and you will see that your network is jammed and you will not work anyway. Nothing will work, everything will be jammed, and it can be very dangerous. So what? To avoid this loop, to avoid this layer 2 loops, by default our Cisco switches has this STP protocol, and the STP protocol is by default is there, and it is enabled and it is working. It prevents and avoid the loop by using this STP protocol. It is spanning tree protocol. It is like we break one of these redundant link. So what this protocol do? It will break one of this redundant link. It breaks the redundant link by spanning the tree on it. It is like this. It is a concept like we put a tree to block the road. So that is why it is the name of a spanning tree. So what it do basically, it blocks one of the redundant link. So basically we don't do it for the two switches, but when you are having a big network where you are having multiple switches, so we do create redundant links. So when we are having a redundant links, so there is a chances of loops. So for avoiding these loops, switches uses this STP protocol. This is by default there, and it is already there. By default it is there, enabled and configured to avoid the loops. And it avoids the loop by blocking one of the redundant port. So when it is blocked here, so it will not go the data will not go from here. And if it is goes from one side, then it will remain on this side. It will not get back to the other side again. So it will do what? It will block the redundant link. Now redundant link will be blocked automatically. We don't have to do anything. It is already configured. Now what happens if this single link is disconnected? So what STP will do? STP will enable the link which is blocked. Automatically it will enable the redundant link which is blocked. So we don't have to do anything. It will do automatically. And that is what the job of switch, to avoid the loop. So this is how switch works. It stores and create the routing table, CAM table, MAC address table. It do the learning and it do the forwarding by using cut through, store and forward, then cut through method, and also fragment free method. And then it also do avoiding the loops by using the STP protocol. So this is the basic concept of switching. This is how these switches are working.